ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Then let go of whatever no longer serves you to take action now on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Erica will energize and excite you to power up your passionate dream that sets your soul on fire. With Erica's E3 approach, equipping, empowering, and enlightening yourself so you can be yourself for yourself. Get ready and get rooted to live a life without regrets, without what ifs, without should haves, and especially without empty feelings from a life unexplored. This hit show helps you build powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go. Get fearlessly ready and powerfully rooted in your yes with your host, Erica Gifford Mills, and be fearless about your more and stand in your yes. Now on Get Rooted Radio.
Hello, everyone. I am Erica Gifford Mills, and I am back. Welcome and thank you for listening to Get Rooted Radio. Loving it up, letting it go, right here on Transformation Talk Radio. A big shout out to my producer today, Emily. Emily, it's been several months since we last spoke, so how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to see that you are back.
Well, thank you so much. So listeners, new and old, I am so glad to be back, as I said earlier. And for those who do not know, I have been out on a bit of a hiatus the past 5 months or so. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in April of this past year of 2023. And things moved very fast after diagnosis. So my last show was in May. My last two shows were in May, and I was quickly under chemotherapy treatment and other treatments. And even though I still have a ways to go, surgeries are in just 10 days, continued treatment, and of course, recovery. I wanted to be sure that I kicked off October with a couple new episodes because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and breast cancer accounts for about 30% of all new cancer cases in women each year in the United States. So let's kick off today's show with some more statistics about breast cancer. About 13%, about 1 in 8 of every U.S. woman is going to develop invasive breast cancer during the course of their life. In 2023, an estimated almost 300,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in U.S. women, along with over 55,000 new cases of DCIS, which is not an invasive, right? But it's still just as time-consuming and worrisome for patients. And about 28 new cases in 2023 of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in men. So please remember, breast cancer is not only a woman's disease, it does affect men, and a man's lifetime risk of breast cancer is about 1 in 833. There are currently more than 3.8 million women with a history of breast cancer in the United States. That includes those being treated and women who have finished their treatments and are considered survivors. And those are big numbers. And I was so shocked, of course, because when you are subject to something, and what I mean by that is you buy a yellow car, you see a bunch of yellow cars, or you have a friend who maybe has a rare disease, all of a sudden you see that disease more and more. So when you yourself might be diagnosed with something or going through a situation, you see it everywhere you turn, and you were blind to it before. And I think that, to me, when I saw some of these numbers, and as I was going through my journey, will continue to go through my journey, how many times I hear somebody going, oh my gosh, I just was diagnosed, or my sister was, my mother was, my uncle was, whatever that might be, you start seeing it more and more, you become more aware. And that includes disparities, right? There are persistent disparities in breast cancer incidence and death rates. Some, just to name a few, are, Black women are more likely to die from breast cancer than women of any other racial or ethnic group. And experts believe that it's partially because about 1 in 5 Black women are diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer more than any other racial or ethnic group. Along those same lines, breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer-related death in the United States for Black and Hispanic women. And breast cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the United States, following lung cancer for Asian and Pacific Islander women, American Indian and Alaska Native women, and white women. So unless people experience breast cancer really in their own lives, or they're close to someone who does, they might not be able to separate myth from fact when it comes to the disease. Also, who gets it and why, or what treatment is involved. And even when you experience it firsthand, or you're close to someone who has, we still get myth versus truth wrong. And it's one of the better known and more talked about cancers, breast cancer is, but there are still so many misconceptions out there. And I think just because you know that each person is different and experiences are even more different, it's hard to not get into that loop of, oh, I had it too, it's not a big deal, or I had it too and it's miserable, right? We have to be real careful when we're talking to folks, because everybody's experience is different. It's just like in life. What is bothersome to one person might not be bothersome to another. And so when I was preparing for today's show and really wanted to kick off Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I was looking at some different myths versus truth. And here are just a few, and these are from breastcancer.org. One of the myths that I found interesting was finding a lump in your breast means you have breast cancer. And we all go to those extremes in anything in life. It's because our brains are hardwired to always go to a negative result as opposed to an unknown result. So it is a myth, right? And so here's the truth. Only a small percentage of breast lumps turn out to be cancer. But if you discover a persistent lump in your breast that is new, or you notice any changes in breast tissue, it should never be ignored. Always consult your physician and make sure that you're getting in to see your clinician appropriately. Another myth that's out there is a mammogram can cause breast cancer or spread it. And again, here's the truth. A mammogram or x-ray of the breast currently remains the gold standard for early detection of breast cancer. It doesn't always mean that a mammogram will be that early detection, but it is the gold standard. And breast compression while getting a mammogram cannot cause cancer, nor does it spread it. In fact, the tighter compression during a mammogram leads to a clearer image that are easier for a radiologist to read. And I was going in, little history on myself, sharing maybe TMI for some, but I was going in on a regular basis for breast exams and breast ultrasounds. And even a few years back, they had me going every 3 months because they saw a spot that was concerning on my right side. And I went every 3 months. I graduated to every 6 months, and then I graduated back to my annual exam. And it was when I graduated to that annual exam that this year is when they found a lump on the other side. So getting that regular mammogram is so important because things change and they can change very rapidly. And so I was very lucky that they were able to find it. And I was very lucky that they jumped right on it, because I had my mammogram and ultrasound on a Monday. I had a breast biopsy on a Wednesday, and I found out on that next day, Thursday. So in less than a week from having my mammogram, I was able to find out. And that just goes to being persistent, asking the right questions, getting in there when we need to get in there, and not putting things off. And according to the National Cancer Institute, the benefits of the mammography, the mammograms, nearly always outweigh the potential harm for the radiation exposures. And mammograms require very small doses of radiation, so the risk of harm from this radiation exposure is extremely low. So although there are a lot of things out there that make people a little bit cautious and afraid, the benefits outweigh those risks. So just making sure that you do your routine self-breast exams, talk to your doctor, get your annual mammogram, and speak up if you have any concerns. I mean, ladies, we want to protect those tatas, but more important, we want to protect our lives. Because typically breast cancer is not going to kill you, it's the spreading of it that's going to. And if we detect it early, and if we get in there and we do what we need to do, and we follow our doctor's recommendations, and we ask for second opinions when we have them, we want to ensure that we are moving along in the right path. So again, that's extremely important. And I know it can be very scary and we might not know where to go. But that's what the rest of today's episode is going to be all about. We want to make sure that we are finding that tribe and we are loving them hard. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'd like to share about my support system during this journey that I have been on and that I will continue to be on, and that importance of having a strong network. And later in today's episode, we will be taking calls to hear about your experiences, about your struggles with your support system, or your great strategies for making that support system, and your successes about your support system. So during our last segment, call in and share your story at 1-800-930-2819. You are listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any portion of today's episode, you can catch it on getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe online to receive the latest news, events, specials, and words of encouragement. Go to getrootedradio.com. So today's episode is titled Find Your Tribe and Love Them Hard. And having a social support system, a network of strong relationships, has a tremendous effect on one's health. Science has shown that people with supportive people in their lives live longer, have better health, and report having higher well-being. And it's really important to surround yourself with positive and trustworthy people who can walk through your triumphs and struggles with you. We all have had those people in our lives who are willing to really support you when you're doing awesome, when you're on top of the world. But sometimes we have problems finding those same people who will walk with us when we are struggling. These individuals really should be encouraging, care about your life goals, and have your best interest at heart. And when we have that kind of support system, we'll be more likely to reach our goals and persevere through those hardships. But these relationships must be maintained to reach their full benefit. It's never one-sided. And I really found the importance of a support system recently. As I mentioned, if you heard during our first segment, that I have been battling breast cancer for the past 5 months, and I will continue to do so over the next several months. And I really found that importance. Not that I didn't know about it before or know that it was out there, but really how important, how much having one affected me. And I'm going to get really emotional right now. And I was promising to myself I wasn't going to do that, but I'm stubborn. I know, big surprise for any family members or friends who are out there listening, but I can be very independent to a fault. And during the past 5 months, I really found that my support system included people I didn't even know. I didn't even know I was aware of, that they were part of that tribe. And finding that tribe and working to cultivate that and showing your love and support through it is so incredibly important. I mean, I have my family, which of course I knew they were there, but to the extent that they have been there has been unbelievable. I'm a single woman. I've been single for many, many years. My son is 20, almost will be 23 in less than 2 weeks. And he has been out of the house for over 4 years, been in another country for at least 3 of those, and now is back stateside. But I live about an hour to 2 hours away from most of my family, and I have lived by myself. And so to say that I've had a revolving door over the past 5 months would probably be an understatement. And I joke that I have said to quite a few of them, aren't you leaving yet? Very often, I could not have gotten through this past 5 months without my family. Just the love and support and humor and taking me to appointments, being here when I didn't even know I needed them has been truly life-altering. And also friends. I have a wonderful group of friends, but the support that they've shown me, from their positivity, they're always making sure that I'm looking at the positive side of things, but also to them, those who know sometimes I just want to complain. I just want to say it's not fair. And for them that are out there who say, whose body are we burying today? I couldn't thank them enough as well. So it's family and friends, but also my professional networks who have turned into some of my best support system as well. From making sure I knew it was okay that I had to reschedule a speaking engagement because my health came first, or not being able to maybe follow through on some commitments that I truly wanted to follow through on, but I just couldn't. My care team and the groups that I was introduced to. I'm going through here locally in Wisconsin through the Freighter Health System, and they have been unbelievable. And you get to meet part of that care team on one of my next episodes that are coming up. But just those care team members, my oncologist, my surgical oncologist, my medical oncologist, the nurses who, get to be with me several times a week, to several hours in a day, have been outstanding in the jobs that they do and people that they have to deal with on a regular basis. To one-time acquaintances, to friends of friends, to strangers, that because they have gone through something similar, or they know somebody and they know how hard this is, those support systems, you realize how far out they spread. I mean, it's like a spider web. If you've ever walked through a spider web and you're still reaching at your face trying to pull it off as you walk through, that's what a support system, how far it can spread. And I think folks don't realize that in times of triumph as much as you realize it as in times of need. Not that I wish that on any person in the world, but knowing that when you cultivate those relationships, these people are going to be there. And I personally, you know all who you are. And if I don't say it enough, I thank you all for all your support, all your love, and everything that you've done for me, and know that I will be here also for all of you when it's your turn. And hopefully it will never be needed, but I want you to know that I will be there as well. There are so many benefits of having a support system, and some of the best benefits include the higher levels of well-being, better coping skills, and a longer, healthier life. And having that support system also has been proven to reduce depression and anxiety and reduce stress. And those are important, especially when you're going through the times of struggle. The times of triumph, yes, you're going to have stress, because a lot of people don't see the hard work that you're doing when you're going through launching a new program, maybe writing a book, or doing speaking engagements. It's kind of like an iceberg, right? What people see are just on top and all the work that you're doing underneath. But when you can be in a triumph mode, when you can be in a celebration mode, that's a little easier. And a lot of people want to be around for that. But when you have that strong support system, that you're going through something very, very difficult, that can help you reduce depression, help you reduce anxiety, and reduce those stress levels, is so important. And that's what you need to thrive. We need that support system. And it's not just in times like I'm going through now, but it's as you're building your community. And experts say that almost all of us benefit from social and emotional support. And though it may seem counterintuitive, having that strong social support can actually make you more able to cope with problems on your own by improving your self-esteem and sense of autonomy. And why is that? I mean, that is because when you need it, those individuals are there. When you need that extra push, when you need that extra lift, when you need somebody to bounce an idea off of. And this is not just your social circle, it's also your professional networks, because those are a part of your social circles. When you can go to somebody and say, I need some advice, they help build you up so that you can be more independent. And I'd like to say, and let's be honest, having people who care about you and support you unconditionally truly make you feel loved and lifted in a way you could never imagine. So I'm going to ask you, Emily, have you ever experienced that having that social network, that professional network, your support system, your tribe, have you ever felt truly lifted that you could do amazing things once you've reached out to them?
Yes, definitely. My family is all super close, so they're definitely my support system when it comes to anything. And they supported me all through college and everything, no matter what I wanted to do and no matter what happened. They were always there, no matter what.
And that's important. I mean, it's like I said, you in times of celebration, we all want to go out and, have a good time and celebrate somebody's victories. But being able to do both, um, finding that pride, um, is so important. And again, you will be surprised when you go through struggles. I was amazed at the people who reached out to me, that I knew were great people. Not that I didn't know that they were great people and they were wonderful, but to take time out of their day when it might have been something I met them once at a conference and we've had some interaction. Um, some of those people have been my best support system. And I think that is wonderful because then it goes to how do you build that up even further, once you're better. And that's something that we're going to talk about during the next segment is how do we build that support system? Because it does go both ways. It's making sure that we're not taking advantage of people in our time of need, that we're also reciprocating that. And I think sometimes that can be hard. We don't want to try to be nosy Nellies and dip into people's personal lives, but at the same time, we want to make sure that they know that we can be there for them and we can, build that mutual respect and rapport. So again, during not the next segment, but our last segment, we're going to be taking callers. So if you want to tell us about your struggles with your support system and how you overcame them, or you want to talk about your successes, not only in your support system, but about how you built them, be sure you're calling in just probably about not even 20 minutes or so. That number is 1-800-930-2819. That's 1-800-930-2819. We want to hear from you. We want to hear how your best practices, because again, everybody works differently, and we want to make sure that, we're hearing from you and hearing about your story. So give us a call, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, what we're going to do is talk about building that support system and how we can encourage others to do the same. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Don't forget to visit getrootedradio.com to listen to a replay of this episode, sign up for helpful tips, and learn about upcoming events. That's getrootedradio.com. So during the last segments, we've been talking about support systems, and I kicked off the show with, reminding everybody that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So please get out there, learn the facts versus the myths about breast cancer awareness. Make sure that you are protecting yourself. It's not only a woman's disease, it does affect men as well. Make sure you're doing your annual mammograms, making sure that you are doing your self-breast exams, and that you're talking to your clinicians about any support or changes in your overall health that you may need. It is extremely important, and I found out by doing just what I'm telling you all to do is getting your annual mammograms, and it truly can save lives. So making sure that you're taking your health as top priority. And through this past several months, I have been extremely lucky to have an amazing support system while going through my cancer treatment and journey, and I will continue, I know, to have this amazing support system. But it is really more than just that. Having a support system in your everyday life is just as important, as having one when you are in need or going through an extreme situation. We need people who will celebrate with us, but will also work hard with us. We need both the up and the down team players. And we talked about the importance of this network, this system, but how do we build it? So Emily, you had said your family's part of your support system, and you don't have to mention names specifically unless you would like to, but where else do you find your support system? Do you have others that you rely on for mentorship or to ask questions or to lean on when you need?
Yeah, of course, friends, of course. All of my
Yep.
friends are a good support system. If if your friends aren't a good support system, then they're not good friends. You know, you got to be able to rely on your friends to be there for you no matter what, and to let you talk about whatever you need to, or give you advice or any of that.
Absolutely. And I think that support system, whether it's social, professional, really does refer to a network of people we can turn to for emotional and practical support. And think about it, even at work, we try not to bring our personal lives into our work environments, but we all know that's kind of a hard thing to do because our personal life flow into our professional lives flow into our personal lives. And we spend sometimes a lot more time with those folks in our professional lives on a daily basis than we do with family or friends. And that social support system does start including family members, friends, peers, coworkers, professionals. And as I mentioned earlier, I have people I don't even know who have reached out to me who were a friend of a friend or an acquaintance of a friend who happened to see something. And I think that social support networks are different really from a formal support group that would meet to assist people in a shared traumatic experience, right? Like I have a support network through my care team that's very different than my support network that is my family, friends, peers, those sort of thing. They can be informal, right? But I also say that they're informal. They might be just temporary, but that doesn't mean we don't continue to have them in place before, during, and after times of struggle, right? That's where we have to cultivate, because that way we can manage stress and other emotions much easier if we're cultivating those relationships. So I want to talk about some of those benefits and support systems. So in case you missed the last segment, research shows that there are many benefits to having a support network in place. Finding that tribe, right? And people with support systems, we've said they live longer, they're generally healthier, they report having higher levels of overall happiness, and that these groups can really help you be more resilient in times of loss and stress when you have them, right? They improve on how you feel during those good times. Supportive relationships can also bolster you emotionally when you're feeling down or overwhelmed. And I can attest to that right now, because just 10 days out from the first surgery, I'm feeling very overwhelmed. Overwhelmed with the amount of work meetings, with the amount of things I'm trying to get done at home, with the amount of pre-op appointments that I have. And just knowing that I can call somebody and vent and let out some of that steam, makes me feel more emotionally stable. Even when sometimes I might not be feeling it at the beginning of the call, by the end of the call, I'm feeling much more stable. Because these individuals really can listen to your fears and worries, and they make you feel seen and understood. Now, we don't always need validation. And if you've heard any of my other episodes, I do talk about that, right? You don't have to be validated by other people. But being able to feel seen and heard is a basic human need. And this support system can help you solve problems and find alternate solutions, as well as distract you from the situation at hand, right? We all have that friend that can make you laugh no matter what. And we need that when we're going through. So let's talk about, in a little bit more depth, really, how do we create that effective support system? Because in order to have it, you got to build it, and it doesn't happen overnight. And you can, and I hate to say collect, but you can collect people you meet, like at school or at a job, because they have a shared space. They have maybe a common interest, and you can collect those people into a desired support group. But we have to determine who you want in your support system, because just because they're in a common interest, or they're maybe in a group that you're in, doesn't maybe mean you want them as part of your support system, because they're not going to be maybe as effective. So you want to look for people who treat you with kindness and respect and have that best interest at heart. And it works both ways. If you have a relationship with someone that no longer serves you, you aren't obligated to maintain that relationship. Or you simply don't need to consider them as someone you would go to for support or certain types of support. I mean, that's up to you. And it's not just a romantic relationship or a friend relationship, it's professional as well. You might find somebody who you speak highly of or think highly of, but that might not be somebody that you're comfortable going to in a support situation. And I would be remiss without saying one way to build your support network is to connect with a professional. And I mean, a therapist, a mental health counselor, health coaches. Those are all individuals that you can build in that support system because they take on a different role than sometimes emotional support or support that maybe you need assistance in doing things. Like, for example, I have friends who've been coming over to mow my lawn because I haven't maybe had the energy to do that. Or I have people who come over and they bring me food, or they have me just sit with me and make me laugh, right? There's different people that you call on for different needs, and that is truly acceptable. But sometimes we need that deeper connection from a professional, a therapist, mental health counselor, those sort of things. So you want to build that network beyond the friendships and the family, and also beyond those professional. Another tip to building that support system is to build your own confidence. Self-confidence is about more than just feeling good about yourself. It means believing you deserve love, that your thoughts, your feelings, your goals, they all have value. And then you can really trust in your own abilities. And when you surround yourself with positive influence, those positive people, those people who influence you in a positive way, it can help jumpstart that confidence boost. And what I mean by that is, are you building a table for those who are going to support you when you leave or talk about you when you get up from that table? And that's a big difference. And you also want to look at yourself. Are you supporting those individuals when they're not at the table? Are you thinking of them? Are you putting them up for ideas, for opportunities? Or are you talking about them? And we need to look at that both ways. We need to not only build that table of support, but be that support as well. Another great thing that I've done and that you'll hear about actually in our next episode is attend a support group. And support groups are really often where people look to build their support bases. Maybe that's where we start because we don't know where to go. And there's a wide range that we can deal with. One of the support groups, and I hate to call it a support group, it was it was a mindfulness-based cancer recovery group where we use mindfulness techniques. We were taught different techniques to really get through our cancer recovery. And you'll be hearing more about that in an upcoming episode. But that group was wonderful because it reinforced tools I had that I wasn't using as part of this journey. And that, to me, as I was going through this group, realized why am I not using these skills that I already know, but I didn't think applied here. So attending one of those groups can help you build not only your network, but reinforce some tools and tricks that you need along the way. Another thing that I actually had been doing, and I didn't even think about it as part of a support system, but is find a hobby. Because it's very a simple yet effective way to build your community. I bought myself for my birthday a very nice camera, and I'm learning how to use it. And so I'm taking classes because it's something low key. It's not something that's going to cause me a lot of physical stress during this time, but it's a way of getting me out and about. And that I'm learning from people. I'm learning new tricks and tools, and I'm getting out in nature. And I'm also building another sort of group that I can learn from and include in my support network. Another is to get to know your neighbors. And I think 20 years ago, this would have been something odd to say to folks. But today, we're also in and out of our homes. We're out and about. Sometimes we don't get to know our neighbors. We share a physical space with them. We're right next door. And if you need to build a community in the event that something happens to you, or my neighbors some of them I know better than others, but some of them I didn't know very, very well, came to my door and said, "Is everything okay? I haven't seen your car move in a while, or I've seen other cars in and out, and I want to make sure, are they okay to be here? Is everything okay with you?" So again, that's how, when I said earlier, how I didn't even know I had support system that was in place and they were there. Your neighbors, get to know them, because that can build a support system in the times of struggle. And always find the positives. We're so easy to look at the negatives and draw ourselves to the worst case scenario that sometimes we forget that if we think positive, our minds can be reset to think that. Accept help. This was my biggest issue, is allowing people to help me, and not just for me, but also for them, because they want to help. They want to feel useful, and we can all grow from accepting that help. It's not a sign of weakness by any means. It's really a sign of strength, because you know you need the assistance in dealing with things. One of the other things I like to add in here about building your support network is finding non-human support. And so my dog has been a wonderful support. He's, loving you unconditionally. He's there laying next to me every chance I can get, but also things like a stuffed animal. Just finding something to cuddle up at night can really provide a stress relief. And it's also something that, if I walk away from that stuffed animal, it's not going to feel bad. It's not human. It's not going to talk back to me either. And I think the last thing is be patient. Creating trusting and healthy relationships take time. Allowing ourselves to ask for help and accept help and grow these communities takes patience with yourself. It's not going to happen overnight, and it takes time to really cultivate those relationships. So again, once you have maintained these relationships, you need to show your appreciation. Tell your friends and family and professional networks and people at work how much you know they have stepped up, how much you know and appreciate all that they've done for you, and thank them. And it's not just words, it's actions. And, stay in touch through phone calls and emails. Even when you're done, when you've had that connection with somebody, make sure that you're out there letting them know that, hey, I was thinking of you and I wanted to make sure everything was okay. It's been some time since we've talked. I think that communication in any relationship is truly key. If we do not open our hearts, open our mouths, and really communicate, we will only be assuming we know what's on the other end. Overall, we have to respect the needs of others. Everyone has their limit for social interactions. We need to know our own limits and our own boundaries, and respect our own boundaries as well as those of others, even if they differ from yours, because chances are they will. When we show our support to others, they're going to show support to you. And I think that is the biggest thing that I can say. If you can do that, if you can be open, honest with your communication and your boundaries, you're going to build lasting support networks, and your tribe will be there to celebrate and to support you in times of need. So again, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I do want to hear from you. Now's your chance. How has having a strong support system helped you? How have you struggled with not having a support system? Call in and share your stories at 1-800-930-2819. That's 1-800-930-2819. This is Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any of the information during the last segments, go to getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com to listen to the replay. Don't forget to subscribe, sign up for tips and special events, and pricing for upcoming coaching sessions at getrootedradio.com. So as I said in the last segments, I want to hear from you during the next couple minutes. Call and share your support network story with us at 1-800-930-2819. That's 1-800-930-2819. So during the last few segments of today's episode, titled Find Your Tribe and Love Them Hard, we've been talking about my cancer journey. And a reminder, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Make sure that you are protecting those tatas, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just a women's disease. Do your self-breast exams. Make sure that you're getting in for your mammogram if you're feeling anything unusual. Talking to your clinicians. And if you ever see any changes, make sure your voice is heard. Can save more than just the girls. It can save your life. So please go out there and do that and support those in need. And that's what this episode is all about, is not only a big thank you, shout out to my tribe that has been supporting me the past 5 months. And actually before that, my support squad, my tribe, whatever you want to call it, has been there for years. It's just, I think when you realize that they're all out there, how much more you appreciate them. And during the last segment, one of the things that I don't think I stressed enough is making sure they know how much you appreciate them and how you continue to cultivate and grow those relationships so that they are there, so that they don't feel that they're taken for granted or taken advantage of when you truly need them. So how do you build your support network? Again, you do this by reaching out to your neighbors, your acquaintances, your friends of friends, your current friends, your coworkers, your family, to identify those potential connections. You attend community events or social gatherings to meet new people who share your interests. And by expanding your network, you increase your chances of finding that support you will need. Really, the bottom line is you can prioritize one type of support, professional versus personal, but you don't want the other to lag behind. You never know when you'll need somebody or the type of support you'll need. So we turn to our support systems in times of not just need, but celebration, but they have to be in place before we need them. So now is that time to nurture those relationships that you already have and to foster new ones. And really diversifying your support system can allow you to really rotate who you seek support from in any given circumstance. And I don't mean that to say you're rotating people. You don't know what you need until you need it. So if you're out there cultivating professional networks of support, personal networks of support, or interests, because your current needs may be different from your needs in 6 months from now. And trust me on this one, because if you would have asked me 6 months ago if I was going to need some support from a cancer perspective, I might have laughed at you. So it's so true how things can change. But when you continue to nurture those relationships, it benefits all involved. So again, if you need help in a support situation, start looking for those people now. Improve your relationships with your family and friends that you can, making sure that you are helping them as much as they are helping you. And it doesn't mean that everybody in your circles, right, are going to be there for every type of need. I personally have friends that it depends on what I need. And that's not saying that one friend is better than the other or one family member is better than the other. They provide you with different types of support. And again, I don't know that we have any callers right now, but if you have any questions or you want to share, please message the show, message me, go to getrootedradio.com, go to transformationtalkradio.com. You can find out all you need right there. You can also send in your messages and ask any questions. I'm happy to lend an ear and provide some guidance. Most of all, learn more about breast cancer and during this month, go out, find those sources, learn more myths versus truths, and know that if you're going through any sort of breast cancer treatment, your treatment is going to be different than others. Make sure that you are connecting with your care team specifically and getting answers from them, because what worked for one person doesn't necessarily going to mean it's going to work from you, because a lot of breast cancers are different. So before we wrap up, I just want to see, are there any calls, Emily? All right, so we are running short on time, folks. So again, send us messages if you have any questions. We are, again, here to support you. And I want you to thank you all for tuning in to Get Rooted Radio, especially today. I'll be honest, I probably was a little bit more nervous this episode than I was my very first episode 4+ years ago. Coming back when I'm not fully healed, I mean, as you can see, right? I'm not fully myself, was a little intimidating for me. But if you missed any part of today's episode, or you want to listen again, go to getrootedradio.com for the podcast. And don't forget to tune in the first and third Monday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on Transformation Talk Radio. And before I sign off, I want you to ask yourself, are you setting, communicating? Are you keeping those boundaries? Are you talking to your support groups that you need? Are you learning to not just survive, but thrive? And if the answer to any of those are no, then set up your free Empower Hour call with me. No charge, no obligations. Go to getrootedradio.com to find out how I can help you take that action. And if you're ready to live, love, and let go, join me for my 12-week group coaching series, The Rooted Life. The series will assist you in achieving your goals, moving forward by letting go of the things that no longer serve you, learning to love yourself and others fully, and living life to its fullest. Go to getrootedradio.com to learn more about this 12-week series and to get that free Empower Hour. That's getrootedradio.com. Thank you for tuning in. I am so happy to be back, and I'm looking forward to the next time on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Visit getrootedradio.com if you've missed any part of this hit show, and tune in on transformationtalkradio.com to live fearlessly in your more and powerfully rooted in your unlimited yes. For more information and to work with Erica directly, visit getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com, and get ready to live it up, love it up, and let it go.